Hey guys, what's up? Beast and Beast Toys here coming at you this evening. I'm going to do an opening of a Target exclusive ISB Tactical Agent. Target exclusive, and I'm going to be honest, I had a hard time picking this up, and I'm going to tell you why. They had about 10 of these. I think they're going to sit on the shelf. They're going to be cheap. I told myself not to. I was like, yeah, I couldn't help it. So I broke down and bought it. 17 in Andor. I just had a hard time when I turned that around and saw that number. I'm like, we got 17 figures from that show. I haven't even watched season 2. I don't even know if I started it yet. Any rate, the reason why, and I'll just say, the reason why I broke down and bought this figure was because he looks like he would go good with the squad of stormtroopers. I got a crap ton of stormtroopers. New mold, old mold. Actually, I'm tempted to sell most of my old mold, to be honest. Maybe keep like 2 and get rid of the rest. And we don't like the old mold. So that's something I might consider doing at some point in time. I probably will at some point in time. At some point in time in my life, probably, hopefully, if I get too terribly old, in about 20 years, I'll probably sell off the majority of everything I have. At this point, I'm just trying to sell off stuff I've got boxed brand new that were extras when I was doing 2 at once. You know, I'm kicking myself now in the rear end. But you know what? Hindsight's always 20/20, right? That's what everybody says. It's the old saying. Well, yeah. Well, comics. I did it with comics. Kicking myself. Now I could care less about comics. I have a handful. I have my old original when I was a kid. I'm not getting rid of those, obviously, but. I'm hanging on. I got a whole little thing right behind me, a little one of those cubes that you have the little slide in. You got the little foldable, I guess you call it drawer or whatever. You buy them at Walmart or Dollar Tree or wherever, and you put them in those. They fit those cubes perfect, and they're cube shaped, so you put stuff in them. I got one of those full of my old kitty books, like a handful of coloring books, like He-Man, Star Wars. And then readers, like Star Wars readers, and then my old comics, that kind of stuff. Even a couple of wrestling little readers I had when I was a kid. Remember the old wrestling cartoon? Anyway, great and cool. Hulk Hogan and I forget what it's called. Been so long. Anyway, but so went through comics now. Then I went to I bought a crap ton of Star Wars Force Link and all that when it came out. Talk about. Well, what kind of got that going, I'll just say this quickly. Sorry. And you can always fast forward if you don't hear this part. I'm going to talk about my son when he was a kid, little. That was all when that stuff was coming out. He was 4, 5, 6, 7 years old when all that Force Link, Rogue One, all that stuff came out. So he liked, toys. For toys, I bought him. So I bought him a bunch, and then I got extra for me. Then I'm like, oh, I remember the eBay craze and the early 2000s and people buying up, you used to go into a small town hardware store, and I could vouch for two in the town I went to in the high school, or the town I lived in high school I went to, 2 different towns, same county, 2 different hardware stores. They used to have into the end of the 90s and early 2000s, they still had stuff from the 80s on the shelves because they were small town little hardware stores. And the eBay craze hit, so people figured it out and went and cleaned them out. So somebody's made some money, but I know at one time, even as early, or for me, as late, I guess, as the late 90s, for me to go in those hardware stores. I didn't go in them much, even as an adult, but they still had some of that stuff, and that was right before I think the craze hit. At any rate, so I bought a ton of that stuff, and I'm like, again, hindsight 20/20. I wouldn't have never bought a ton of it. Now I've opened the majority, and honestly, I've about sold through. I'm down to about 5 to 10% of what I had originally, and that was a lot. Just a handful of pieces, big pieces, and hardly any figures anymore. I managed to get rid of them. Didn't make a ton of money off of them. Just wanted space and got rid of them. And so now I'm kind of looking at Black Series. I've started, boxing up, selling, I guess I better open this, boxing up and selling, Black Series pieces that are unopened. I just about an hour ago, got my Obi-Wan San Diego, I think it was a San Diego Comic-Con set, Black Series, Blue Line, you know, Comic-Con set, and they had the table, a Princess Leia hologram, and I just pulled it off the shelf, took a few pictures of it, and I'm going to list it on eBay. I'm like, I guess I'm to that point now, even the stuff that I have a lot of stuff open, but now I'm kind of like, I've got that figure in particular. The only thing I wouldn't have with the table and the hologram, I'm like, is it worth it? I think I can get probably, what, 50, 60, 70 bucks out of it, something like that. I guess just I have to look and see what they're going for. But I know when I bought that one, I think I paid 60 something for it and shipping. So I'm just going to try to get the majority of my money back out of it. At any rate, so yeah, so I've kind of gotten to the point now where I'm going to try to blow through and get rid of a lot of my extras that I had originally. So, all right, so he actually looks like he has a bio, as I complain about often, that we get the generic bio on some of these figures from these new live action shows. When the spies of the Empire must spring into action to capture would-be traitors, the Imperial Security Bureau fields specialized tactical agents to carry out the assignments. There you go. So I actually had a bio this time. Let me turn, yeah, there we go. So, let's see. Hat come off. Ooh, hat comes off. Okay, hat comes off. So, I wonder if you could put a Stormtrooper helmet over this. So, here he is without his hat. And then you give him, of course, the... ooh, man, that arm's stiff. Here, I'm going to tell you what this arm reminds me of. Which figure. Oh, man, that is... I'm going to be ticked off if I break this trying to bend it. Get it where it's the joints for the gun. Reminds me, the arms on this actually, especially because the elbow stiffness reminds me, and actually the shin piece, maybe the same, maybe a very similar piece, just a different torso and middle section here and here. The Imperial Patrol Trooper from Solo. His arms were really difficult to bend. Excuse me. His arms were really difficult to bend for some reason, and you had to kind of be really careful. And his shin guards look similar to that piece, this piece right here, actually. So, yeah, it's kind of surprised at this, but at any rate, I don't like the way this is bent either. I can't quite get his gun where I want it, and I'm going to try to show you here in a second. It's stuck in the straight on position, so I can't really tuck it. I like to tuck them under their, I just wanted something I've always done, tuck them under, but it's his arm, his elbow doesn't turn. I feel like sometimes with these figures, your elbow can turn in and out a little bit. No, it does, but it doesn't. What I'm trying to say is like this part, the forearm part, usually on a lot of these figures, you can kind of turn it the way you want it. It's not turning great, so it makes this difficult, and it's not going to bend your elbows, joints, nuts, not bending anymore. So this figure really, I hate to say it, but it's kind of poorly engineered the way this is. So I guess I'll check his knee joints. See, like, knee joints are actually kind of normal, and they're easy to bend, and that doesn't happen very often either. I guess my usual hard time too, beside of elbows with some figures, is feet, but I just kind of bent that one and got that one to move. Well, at any rate, he would look great with the squad of stormtroopers, that's all I'll say. And again, I haven't watched the show, so maybe that's kind of where he shows up in the show with the squad of stormtroopers. I, kind of want to move him where I can put his, see, I kind of had it, but put his hand under the gun like this, and I can, but it won't stay. That's the problem. It's just the way it's bent. And so, maybe it'll hold there like that. His posability isn't great, so I guess I can say I'm kind of glad I just talked a little bit about some of the stuff from my past and my collecting habits and that kind of stuff. So sorry if you can't, if I think that might have been turned out. Oops, let's see, I can't keep that tucked in the way I want it. That may have turned out better than I'd, or this didn't turn out as good as I hoped for. And that part, telling y'all that may have turned out better than I thought it would. I was just kind of rambling and telling the story, but now I'm like, well, if you look this guy over, and just the way he stands, and there, I got him to stand. All right, well, I'm gonna hold him up real quick. So here he is again. There's your ISB Tactical Agent. Again, I'm gonna go through this super quickly. I feel like I'm 90% sure you're gonna get this guy on the cheap later on. They're gonna knock the price of him down. You're gonna get him easy. Same with Krennic, the director Krennic, the new one. He was there too, but I was like, I ain't even buying him. I guarantee I'll pick him up for $9.99 down the road somewhere. You're gonna find him in about every Target. I just don't know that figure. Wasn't popular first time. I just don't see how it's gonna be popular a second time around. That's one of Hasbro's fatal flaws, if you ask me. They'll try to double dip on a figure and they'll add a paint scheme or some weapons or deluxe them up, and it's like, dude, do you really think that if this figure, so like, I mean, he's probably, I'd say if you go on Action Figure 411, he's probably a $5 to $7 figure. I'm telling you, you're not gonna get that much more out of a little added paint and a newer head sculpt. I don't see it. I don't personally. So that's my opinion on the matter. So anyway, my advice, to be brutally honest, my advice with this figure is, especially with the arm issue, to me that's an issue, unfortunately. But I'd say wait around. You're gonna get him on the cheap later on. And like I said, I hesitated, but I went ahead. Is what it is. All right, guys. Well, anyway, there you go. Sorry for rambling on this one. Again, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to get notifications of my videos. And again, thanks for watching. And as always, with the ISB Tactical Agent, I'm Beast from Beast Toys. We'll see you.